Why is digital marketing so important for a small business? As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. I've had 16 companies myself. I've helped dozens, or actually hundreds, across the world. I'm going to tell you exactly what the key 5 steps are to think about. All right, so high level, why is digital marketing important for a business? Very, very simple. If you have anybody that's going to look for you online or look for some form of social proof, meaning someplace they can check reviews or something along those lines, then you have to have some sort of engagement with digital marketing. Now, if you happen to be in a position where you have very, very little of that, and there's not many of those out there anymore. I have some cases for me where I'm exclusively word of mouth referral with most of my bigger clients. However, I do know that I need to have a website, I need to have a LinkedIn presence, I need to have certain places where people can go and see testimonials and social proof. It's just a matter of that's how people vet businesses and vet people these days. So high level, that's one of the primary reasons. Now, so you think about it, you have to have a certain presence in those areas. And it can be a website. If you're doing exclusively online sales, maybe eBay or whatever it may be, that's fair enough, good. But you're still gonna have to manage that presence, that you have some sort of marketing strategy that's there, so that if you do get negative reviews, how do you handle those? So the main thing, and this is where most people screw up their marketing strategy, or marketing, is they don't have a strategy. It's crazy how people just sort of shotgun throw this and throw that and throw this and throw that. Well, it's expensive and I don't like it, I'm not good at it, I'll give it to the youngest person. No, your marketing, you really need to invest the time and energy to do it well. If you don't, you're not gonna have any idea what's working. And there's an old adage in the advertising space, I used to own ad companies, that said, half my marketing is working. I just don't know what half. Well, I would argue in a lot of today's space, 90% of marketing doesn't work because it is so noisy and we don't know where it's going. So creating that strategy is important. And the primary things around a strategy are going to be coming up with your avatar. Who is your ideal target market? And you may have 1 or 2 avatars that you want to build, but that avatar should be, what is the demographic? Who are they? What is their gender? What is their age? Do they have certain specific interests? Are they a certain socioeconomic status? What are those things that can help you define who you're going after? The second is, where are they? And where is a geographic, meaning if you're a brick and mortar store, it may be a certain mileage around your brick and mortar. If you're digital, it could be English speaking world. But starting to figure out who it is, where are they, how do we find them? And then lastly, what are their motivations? What is the problem you're solving for them? You help figure that out, and it's going to make things a lot easier to start creating clarity on where you're going. So when you figure out the demographic, the geographic, and the psychographic, that's about the person, then look at it from as if you were solving the problem yourself and say, what is the actual problem I'm solving? And be very crystal clear on what the problem you're solving is. Once you understand that, that's going to help immensely. And then what are the outcomes you're driving? When you're driving in marketing, the primary thing you want to do is focus on the outcomes you're driving. Taco Bell shows people who are hungry eating. Really simple. They're not showing you behind the scenes on how they, where it's farm-raised meat and how they come with this and how they make everything. They don't care. It's people together, socializing, solving a problem of being hungry. It's really simple, but that's what they do, and they do it really, really well. Same thing with a lot of the other high-end brands or the consumer brands. It's the same thing if you can think about it on a smaller level. What do? I help mid-market companies that are stuck. I help turn around and maximize. If they're stuck and they're not reaching their potential, I help them change that. That lands with a lot of people, the right people that I want to talk to, and it works for me. So once you start to create these, the last thing then is, when it comes to having a marketing and doing your digital marketing, please don't do this. It is so easy to set up a name on a platform. You can have 20 different platforms all set up, but it's the daily engagement that is the hard part. So when you create the strategy, figure out the top 2 or 3 platforms that you can do and do those really, really well, and then build some sort of editorial calendar to make sure you do it consistently. As an example, I have a newsletter. I know it's old school. I have a website, and I'm on LinkedIn. For me, for my target audience, that's ideal. I do some podcasts, I do some blogs, but I don't do much on social media because candidly, I don't like it. I think it's a huge time sink, and it's something that most of my customers aren't going to be on. But when you do this, start figuring out where the areas, you've defined who you're going after, you've defined what they value, you've defined the outcomes you're providing. Now find where the fish are, fish where the fish are, as the old adage says, and then test. And when you do this, you're going to start to understand why digital marketing is important to a small business. So ideally, you found some value. We have a whole course at aspiringsolopreneur.com. We've got the book, but it helps you very safely transition if you're an existing, if you're working for somebody and you want to start a gig. It's never been easier or safer. So if you're interested, reach out. Please subscribe, and thank you so much for investing the time to watch this. Keep smiling.